Hi.
Hi. Hi, Seth.
Hi, Jennifer. How's it going?
Great. How are you doing?
Fantastic.
I want to know about you playing Steve Wozniak
All
in
right.
Steve Jobs.
Thank you. Aaron Sorkin wrote a movie about Steve Jobs, I heard, and I read the script, and it was very, very good, and I was not sure they would want me to be in the movie, but I auditioned for it.
You did? You
Yeah.
auditioned? Wow.
Yeah, which I hadn't done in a few years, but I had auditioned like in the previous few years for another movie that I did not get the part in, and so my track record wasn't good. But I really wanted to audition because I was worried that I was going to blow it, and I wanted it to be on them for choosing me and not on me for like just getting in the movie. You know what I mean? So yeah, I auditioned, and did you?
What scene did you? Yeah, I did. What scene did you audition with?
I think I read every scene.
Oh, wow.
I have in the entire movie.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, with Aaron, who.
Oh, how great.
Yeah, which was also kind of cool. But wait, I heard at the Q&A that did you read with Quentin?
Yes,
at his
did.
guest house?
Yes, and the great thing about reading for Quentin is that you're not reading for him; he is reading with you.
Yeah.
Right. So he sits right next. He sat on this side of me, and we.
Yeah.
Went through this. We read the script, the scene together. So
Did you do the whole thing, or
we just did the last?
The last part,
the last chapter, which he gave me there at his house. So I hadn't even read it till I got there.
And then did he give you time to like go off and look at it, or did you just kind of?
He said, "Why don't you read this, and then I'll come back and we'll read it.
Wow.
We'll read from that chapter."
That's so bizarre.
It was hard.
Yeah.
It was scary, but I really wanted it, so I just sort of did my best.
Yeah, that's amazing. Were you like? I've always looked like. Did you memorize it?
How could it?
It's
impossible.
No, it is impossible.
So I would be doing these long chunks, but then
you have to read. Yeah, it's impossible to memorize. It's a lot of stuff.
Did you memorize your stuff before your audition?
No, not at all. And I remember thinking, like, I hope they don't expect me to memorize this because it's like a book. And I got it like the day before, or like 2 days before, or something like that. But
you read all your scenes.
I think we read like the whole movie, like everything
Amazing.
I was in, and it was like I was in there for like an hour, I think. And Danny and Aaron were very nice and very supportive. And then I left, and then I didn't hear anything for like 6 months because during that time, the studio, the movie changed studios and stars, and the other actors that were in the movie. I think Christian Bale was in the movie maybe when I got cast originally, and I think it was at Sony, and then Christian Bale left and Michael Fassbender came in, and it went to Universal from Sony, and somehow I remained in the film.
Wow.
And then did you rehearse a lot?
We rehearsed for 2 weeks. In my imagination, we rehearsed a month.
Yeah.
But then I just heard the Q&A that you, I don't know if you stayed with Q&A, but I heard,
did.
Yeah, so I heard Quentin say we rehearsed 2 weeks. So I guess it was only 2 weeks.
But it seemed like more.
It seemed like a month because I got so much out of it.
Yeah.
It was such a nice entrance in. And here's what's so crazy. We rehearsed on a soundstage that was taped off like the way if you were doing a play.
Yeah.
It would be taped off. The picnic table was there. Like a lot of the actual props were there.
Yeah.
There was wall. There were walls. There was a chimney. Everything was there. We were never going to shoot on that soundstage.
Yeah.
That was just built
for rehearsal.
And that was amazing to have
amazing.
that. It just gave us all so much.
Yeah, we actually had a similar thing where we had a big rehearsal room and they would tape off the things. I've never done a play, and everyone kept being like, "This is like a play."
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Oh, cool. I guess this is what a play is like."
It's fun, rehearsal especially.
Well, I'm just going to ask my own questions first. I'm very curious in regards to the Hateful Eight, specifically about the blocking of the movie, because in comedies we don't block. We basically have to position the actors' bodies in a way that is most conducive to filming both of them simultaneously. And that, for comedy, is ultimately more important than the things that normally propel a scene, which is like, I'll get up at this moment and I'll walk over here at this moment. And for editing purposes, we basically tell our actors, you can't do that. You kind of have to stand there, and we shoot both of you at the same time, and you talk, and you talk, and that way we can edit it and turn it into something. But then with this movie, the Steve Jobs movie, all of a sudden there was blocking, and it's that was one of the big conversations in the rehearsal, which is when do you get up and when do you go over there? And to me, the Hateful Eight was like so specifically blocked because everyone's in the same room the whole time, and the continuity is like amazing. Like it 100% works, and like that guy's always there. And it's like, so how much of that, I'm curious, was like Quentin kind of dictating it, or versus the actors kind of discovering the blocking of the movie? Because the whole movie's blocking almost, right?
Yeah, there's a lot, but it's interesting because our rehearsal was us sitting at a table,
just doing it,
just reading it over and over and
Yeah.
over. And Quentin's thing is, I don't want anybody to get up until they have to. So, because he really wants things to come organically.
Yeah.
And he may have specific things like, no, I want you to be here so that when he punches you, it falls. I want that action to happen here. But you feel like it does, all the blocking does come from an organic response to the material, you know, or to what's happening in the scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of movement. And also, when you think about Quentin's mind, it's incredible because we were shooting scenes in Telluride.
Yeah. That would connect to the soundstage scenes.
That then when we got to the soundstage, there might be a scene that he was shooting from the rafters, like tracking us from above.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's all plotted.
He knows visually, he's such a master, you know.
It's something I'm so aware of when I'm watching his movies, because I know almost every interior scene is shot on a soundstage, and the way he connects the exterior and the interior is always very clever, I think. And as just from a technical level, it's something that I'm always noticing in his movies is these shots that come through the window, and then like how did they build some of the set in?
Oh yeah, when you walked on the set, it was here. We had actually shot in Telluride, and they had built
and there was like
a replica
indoors also. Maybe?
Yes.
So there was
indoors
two
and
minis.
outdoors. There were two identical minis, both built, neither found.
That's crazy.
With an outhouse, with a barn.
Yeah.
And then when we got to the soundstage at Red Studios, there was minis again, completely built inside and outside, with the outhouse, with a snowy field. With
Oh wow!
The
was the scale like the
when
same?
you walked to the outhouse, it was like up to my knee.
Wow.
But it looked, you know, because it's
it was like forced perspective.
Magic of movies, you know, and I love that stuff because and also it was freezing.
Yeah.
In Telluride, there were days where it was hot,
and
literally
was their
hot.
soundstage refrigerated or something like that?
They had like 6 air conditioners. So
and was the breath real?
Yeah, he wanted the breath. He hates CGI. So.
No, yeah, you could tell it's real, and CG breath, like it does not. They can't do it. Yeah, like
really
David
weird.
Fincher has bad CG breath, like, and he has amazing everything.
What you got to say about all this?
What I got to say about John Rhys Ravens? He's absolutely right. Me and one of them fellows is in cahoots. We're just waiting for everybody to go to sleep. That's what we're gonna kill you.
So by the time you arrive on set, did you know the blocking, or
Pretty much.
because
Pretty much. I mean, there were some things that we didn't know that we discovered as you know, he told it to us. But a lot of it we did know, and a lot of it we would find. We would just figure out, you know, a lot of the whatever dosage.
Did you shoot the movie in order?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we shot it in order in Telluride, and then we shot it in order here.
Yeah.
Did you shoot Steve Jobs in order?
100%.
Really?
Yeah. There was maybe like a scene here or there that was done out of order, but
So like the early stuff in the garage?
Yeah, we actually shot that first. That was like a test day, you know. Like we actually shot that like 2 weeks before principal production started.
Wow.
And I think all the flashbacks were technically shot in order. Like I think they shot the stuff with Michael Fassbender and Jeff Daniels, like when he's hiring Jeff Daniels, even though it plays in the third act, it was shot before the first act. I think the whole thing was shot.
Do you find that helpful to shoot in order?
I do. I think it was, it's interesting. If I was directing the movie, it would scare me because I think people do get better as the movies go on sometimes, and I'm always happy that we're shooting out of order, so it's kind of scattered throughout the movie, and there isn't like a clear build and everyone finding their characters and finding their things that like just things get refined a little bit, I think, as the process goes on. And so But as an actor, I loved it. I thought it was much easier in a lot of ways.
Did you improvise at all with a Sorkin script? Or
No.
No, not at all.
And does Quentin do that?
No.
And does he change anything on set at all?
Some days he would change things and he would come in and it would be like handwritten.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't use a computer.
Yeah.
So you'd
That's
have like the
crazy.
chicken scrawl,
Yeah.
and we'd be reading it. It's just great to have something in his handwriting,
Yeah, that's amazing.
Or if he wanted you to listen to music, he would give you a cassette tape.
Wow, that's amazing. He's analog.
Totally,
He's deeply
totally.
analog.
He's tube TV, like the whole,
That's crazy.
the whole thing. VHS cassettes.
That's
And
actually weird.
I was so proud because I still have only tube TVs, so
That's
I
amazing.
felt really proud.
If you take a tube TV to a donation center, they won't accept it.
They won't?
No.
Well, Quentin will take it.
Yeah, Quentin will take
take
it.
it to Quentin's
Quentin will take
house.
Salvation Army will be like, no, like literally people without TVs don't want these anymore.
Oh my God. But it's
Yeah.
a prettier picture, meanwhile. I think
No, it
it's
looks
prettier.
nice. I don't
Yeah.
mind it. Yeah.
What did you do? Why has Lisa not heard of me?
Man, how many fourth graders have heard of you?
You can't write code. You're not an engineer. You're not a designer. You can't put a hammer to a nail. I built the circuit board. The graphical interface was stolen from Xerox PARC. Jeff Raskin was the leader of the Mac team before you threw him off his own project. Everything, someone else designed the box. So how come 10 times in a day, I read Steve Jobs as a genius? What do you do?
I play the orchestra.
Curious if you met Steve Wozniak.
I did meet Steve Wozniak on several occasions leading up to the filming of the movie, and then he was around kind of while we were promoting the movie a little bit, which was hilarious. Yeah, it was interesting. It wasn't really written how he is. So like the second I met him, it almost was a relief because I was like, oh, okay, good. Like it literally the real Steve Wozniak is like one of the least confrontational people you would ever meet in your entire life, and he admittedly would never like say the things he said to Steve Jobs in the context that he said them. He actually said it was like a cathartic experience for him in some ways because he was like, I was able to see what it would have been like if I was actually able to be that type of person and confront someone on the issues I had with them. But he said that he's just not the type of person that would ever do that, he said. And it's very clear when you meet him that it would be almost impossible to imagine him doing it. He's literally like one of like the sweetest, kind of most cuddly, like gentle. He's like adorable, like, and you just want to hug him kind of. And so that actually was, when I met him, that was kind of the thing I had to reconcile is like, how do I try to kind of do this guy's sweetness justice in some capacity when most of the things I'm doing in the movie are pretty confrontational and pretty argumentative.
You did it. I mean, no, honestly, I mean, I can't imagine anyone else playing that part. Like, you're
Thanks.
so sympathetic and sweet. And I know he's like the guy that was giving away his stock shares.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, so that was, I mean, that was probably the biggest challenge, honestly, was like, how do I be very confrontational in
Right.
a way that seems like
So how
I'm
did
a nice guy?
how did you find it? Just
I don't know. I mean, a lot of it was written. I mean, we had a lot. I think it was a similar. We just talked about it a lot. I think like that's a very helpful process where you just have that. You just talk and you say like, well, what do you think? You think he's upset about this? Is like, I mean, it's just these conversations that we don't often have the luxury of having the time to have in our movies, where you just literally get to sit around for days and days and analyze every line of dialogue.
and did you spend a lot of time with Michael or?
Yeah, we had, our rehearsal process was between every act, we would stop shooting and rehearse. So we would rehearse for 2 weeks and shoot the first act, and then stop production, rehearse for 2 weeks, and then shoot the second act, and then stop production and rehearse for 2 weeks and shoot the third act. And so there was actually 2 weeks of rehearsal between each act, and it was almost like shooting 3 little movies, basically. And we were all there basically for the entire rehearsal process of every act. So even if the actors weren't in the scenes, they would be around
Really?
just to
Just watching?
Yeah, just to watch. And at the end of it, we could run each act like a play, like we could do it in real time, basically.
Well, it could actually be a play.
Yeah, which is, I know we all were saying like it was kind of a waste not to do it like a play.
Well, maybe you will.
Yeah, maybe one day, maybe that's how they'll get their money back. But what I mean, the character you play in the movie is so amazing, and honestly, it's incredible because you say much less than most of the characters for the majority of the movie, but you are, by a lot of means, the focus of the entire movie and the one you're watching, for me, throughout the course of the entire movie. And I just, like, what was that process like of kind of, you play like the slow and steady wins the race game, kind of. And I've seen actors that are very uncomfortable with that process because, you know, it's you're not doing a lot, you know, kind of on the surface for a lot of the movie, kind of biding your time until the end when it really comes into fruition without ruining things, I guess. And what I was just curious as to like what the conversations were like going into that, basically.
I actually love acting without opening my mouth.
That's great.
You know?
Yeah.
If I could play every scene
like
laying down and not opening my mouth, I'd be very happy.
And I would imagine, I mean, it's like such a, I mean, and you look disgusting throughout a large amount of the movie. What were those discussions like?
When you see like
in the greatest way. It's like you almost
my
become
mom
like
a picture of me with like the black
crash test
eye.
dummy. Yeah.
I know, honestly.
It's truly amazing, like the amount of physical punishment you take throughout the
what
movie.
you see in the trailer is like the best I look.
No,
in
yeah,
movie.
it's like by the end, you look like a monster. But it's like, it's amazing. And Greg and Howard do all the movies that we make, and
wow,
they're
amazing,
incredible.
yeah.
But what was that? I mean, again, I can't imagine that you had any reservations about that. And I mean, probably just the opposite. I mean, I imagine there's some fun in just diving deep into looking as grotesque as you really.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that like?
Well, the only, you know, it's like I mean, I loved all of it, and I obviously don't want to give like stuff away that I shouldn't, but blood sometimes can be very sticky.
Yes, it's disgusting.
And when it's on your hair, and then your hair is on your face, and then you talk, and everything starts to pull and feel. And when you take it off, it hurts. And but I didn't mind the hot shower at the end of the day. Yeah, like showering.
And it stains you kind of a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And how about shaving cream?
Yeah, that's what gets it off. Shaving cream is what gets fake blood off.
The very first day of the shoot was a stagecoach where I have the black eye and a few scratches and bruises on my face. And I just sent my mom a picture, and I just said, this is the best it's gonna be. So get ready. And
that
then
really was.
There's one point where I get like my nose punched really hard. And then we had a prosthetic nose.
Yeah.
And that was you know, you just got to put your ego on the shelf somewhere, you know?
It's amazing.
I was glad when that fake nose came off, though.
Yeah.
That was like, that was a brutal day. But I just avoided the mirror, and it's fine, you know?
There were some scenes where I was watching and just, I had like an empathetic moment of just discomfort, like watching just physical discomfort, just knowing how, fake blood is disgusting and just like.
Well, you've dealt with a lot of fake blood.
I have, and it's gross. You just, it's like, it's sticky and it's on you, it gets in your fingers.
And they keep like wetting you,
they have to refresh it.
Jake is great though. I mean, Jake is who, you know, works with Greg too.
He
was on our
and
set
Carrie,
all the time.
who also, I think I saw his name in the credits. He's like a 6'5" black dude who. Prosthetic stuff,
Is there something, perhaps through acting or life?
Yes, through my life.
Yeah, through life. How about that you just discovered recently, or in the past 5 years about yourself?
About myself.
That you didn't know.
That I did not know.
Do you cry easily?
Do I cry easily? I do find myself crying at moments that suggest I probably have some sort of deep-seated mental issue. I cry like during commercials a lot that are
they
like
iPhone commercials?
Or anything. There was a Subaru commercial that was like a guy taking his dog on like a bucket list adventure, and that made me cry for like an hour straight. So yes, I've learned that I probably need to see a therapist.
That's great.
Is one thing I've learned about myself in the last few years. How about you? Have you learned anything about yourself?
I don't do great on very little sleep.
Really? That's good to know.
Yeah.
Did you sleep well during the Hateful Eight?
I
shoots?
did, yeah.
That's
I
good.
did. I slept
You
well.
gave yourself permission to sleep.
Yes, I like a lot of sleep.
Sleep is good.
Sleep's great.
Yeah, fantastic. As I get, I sleep more and more.
Yeah.
I used to feel lame if I went to bed at 9:30. but
I
now
feel
I'm just
fine
like,
going to bed at
no.
7:30.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
go.
go.
Watch TV in bed.
Why not?
Then pass out. It's
As you
fantastic.
can't watch a screener in bed because then you won't make
No,
it through.
it's true. Yeah.
Thanks for watching Actors on Actors. Click to the left to watch our conversation with Amy Schumer and Lily Tomlin. Click to the right to watch our full conversation with Kate Blanchett and Ian McKellen. And don't forget to subscribe to Variety's channel.